Welcome back to Puzzle My Travels, where we're tackling the Eiffel Tower of Paris. This is part 3, where we're talking about all of the behind-the-scenes stuff, the back end, the planning, etc., etc. Part 1 was of the visit to the Louvre and the 3 ladies, the 3 hot ladies of the Louvre. Part 2 was about the visit to the Eiffel Tower, and which admittedly should have been maybe part 3 or 4, but here we are. And part 4 will be the things that I regret not doing at the Eiffel Tower. But anyway, let's jump into this one. First thing I want to do is introduce my lover, my better half, my partner in crime, my partner in most travels, my husband, Sean Dove. I have this joke that I married him for his last name, but you will get to hear from him probably a lot on our Ireland puzzle. That was a trip that was mainly for him. That's where his ancestors are from. So that will be, both of us will tackle that one. Let's see how that goes. So Ireland was actually the trip that made Paris possible. We took a trip to Ireland for 9 days, 8 nights, I think 9 days. And we flew over to Paris for 1 night. As I mentioned before, we left our rental at our Airbnb. Well, it wasn't there. It was like a nearby parking area that they had. We were going to leave it at the airport parked with all of our belongings in the car. But our host said that a lot of people do that. They leave the vehicle parked in that little area. It's like the guest parking for the residential area where he lives, where the Airbnb was in Ireland. So we left it there, flew over, came back, and again, thank God, everything was intact. Okay, so this is how it went down in Paris. We flew into Charles de Gaulle Airport. CDG is the code. I just remember it. We took the metro. That was fun. We took the metro in Paris from the airport to the Louvre. We did talk to someone who was very helpful at the airport, one of the employees at the service desk. I'm from New York, so I'm not afraid of the subway. The one in Paris, for me, was actually easier than the one in Washington, D.C. And again, I'm from New York, so as a teenager, I took the subway all the time. So when we get out on our stop, our first view was just this nice building, and I thought, right away, it's like, oh my gosh, we're in Paris. We're gonna see these wonderful structures, and so I started feeling it right then. And of course, as we're walking to the Louvre, we had our first and only baguette sighting. So that was fun. Again, that cliche thing that you see in almost every movie where Paris is portrayed, a guy walking into a building with the baguettes. Okay, so we get to the Louvre. We did our thing there, and you can watch part 1 of this series to see that. And then after the Louvre, we went and checked into we took a cab to our Airbnb. So the Airbnb was around the corner. I mean, it wasn't really a corner, maybe a block or 2 from the Eiffel Tower, but it's right in that area. So we took a cab to our Airbnb, unloaded. I don't think we had time for anything at that point, but that was a little fun and scary. So the Airbnb host, at some point before the trip, he had sent me an email stating that the apartment had changed from one to another. He never did explain why, but he said it was the same building. From what I saw in the pictures on the Airbnb website, it was the exact, where we ended up was the apartment that I saw in the pictures. So I'm not sure what happened. But anyway, we get to the Airbnb. My phone starts to die right as we're trying to get in door. I don't remember if it was a code, but the guy just shows up. Like out of nowhere, he just comes in, starts to open the door, doesn't even introduce himself, but he takes us to our apartment and gave us a key and whatnot. The Airbnb itself was a little bit scary. I am embarrassed to admit this, but I don't think the sheets were clean. I mean, maybe it was just me, but I don't think they'd been clean. So we kind of just slept with our clothes on. I barely got any sleep. I mean, it was a little rough. I mean, of course, we just needed a place to stay. We didn't need to make anything to eat there. We just needed a place to stay. But still, I still want something nice. Something nice and clean. I don't care for fancy. I don't care for a lot of amenities because we really, when my husband and I travel, we do not spend much time in the Airbnb in the hotel. We don't. So it really, I just want something clean. That's not too much to ask for. Now, what I do like above everything when it comes to Airbnb is I like the unique stay. So in Ireland, for example, we stayed in a castle. We stayed in a tent at a hostel right near Babbling Brook. I mean, I heard this all night. It was amazing. Where else? We stayed in Ireland in one of those like hobbit hole homes. So again, I want something nice and clean, and I love unique stays. So we unloaded and we went to the Eiffel Tower, walked right over. Funny, my husband, when we were walking over, I don't know what my husband was trying to ask, but there were some cops there, and he was trying to get his attention to one of the police officers, but the police officer was on the phone. My husband was trying to get his attention. And I thought, like, are you crazy? Don't bother him. He doesn't, first of all, he already doesn't look too happy. And secondly, he's on a call. So, But we did our visit at the Eiffel Tower. And again, on part 1, you can see all about that. They did have a lot of security around there because I did say before that it was right after the Olympics, but it was after the main Olympics and the Special Olympics were still going on. So there was still a lot of traffic and crowds and security from that. So after the Eiffel Tower, we were exhausted. We had been on our feet since, 4 a.m. or something like that when we drove to the airport in Ireland. But so we needed a nap anyway. But we did go eat at just walked over and ate at a little cafe floor. And it was really sweet. Our waiters, well, I know our waiter was Middle Eastern. I think most waiters were. And what I didn't like about the cafe was that they were kind of standing around out there just waiting, not harassing. I'm not going to say they were harassing people, but they were just kind of touching base with people walking by and trying to get them to go in. And, it wasn't a great vibe. But for us just sitting there, we barely took notice of what else was going on, to be honest. Or at least I did. We were relaxing. We're in relaxed mode. Now, our Airbnb host did put us in touch with, we chatted with him a little bit. He spoke little English, but he did put us in touch with a cab driver for the next day when we needed to take a cab back to the airport. And listen, I've seen Taken. I've seen that movie that takes place in Paris. I'm thinking, I don't know if we're going to survive the night here. I was a little scared. I did not feel 100% safe, but you know what? At that point, we're in it, so we got through it. On my end, with very little sleep. Now, you might wonder, why in the world do a Paris visit for just one night? Glad you asked. So, we were in Ireland. again, the trip was to Ireland. In my head, I could not fathom being so close to Paris and not making it over. So here's the thing. I think, and I don't know if this is just girl math, but I mean, it kind of maths out. If the only extra expense for a 24-hour trip to Paris was the flight. That was the only extra expense because we still needed to pay for a night to stay. We still needed to eat. We were still going to pay for activities, whether we were in Paris or in Ireland. So again, in my girl math mentality, the only extra expense was the flights, and that was about, I think, $300 for both of us. So I didn't do a multi-city. What I did was I bought our round trip tickets to Ireland, and then I bought separately, I went through Aer Lingus, separately bought flights for, round trip from Ireland to Paris. So that was an extra $300. So again, in my head, it worked out. It was, of course, a dream come true, like I've said. So it didn't take a whole lot to convince myself or my hubby. And truthfully, that kind of, I would love to travel that way, where I do a week and a half, whatever it is, in another country, and then do an overnight somewhere else. So right now, for our 10th year anniversary is coming up in July 2025. July 2026. And so our plan, or what I'm planning, is 1 week to, I think, 9 or 10 days to Italy. And I'm trying to do an overnight flight to Greece, specifically Santorini. But I'm not sure if that is going to work out. I'm working on it. So the next morning on our way out, we called our cab, recommended by our Airbnb host, and we walked over to Cafe Flora again, just around the corner. We picked up some crepes because, of course, we're in France. The only thing we didn't get to eat was, we did, but it was at the airport, so it kind of doesn't count, but it was a croissant. And speaking of airports, check out the PlayStation, Xbox, just like the gaming area they have there. No, we didn't try any of it. One thing I forgot to mention was when we arrived in Paris, leaving customs, I think, where we scanned the passport, my husband, the door didn't open for him and he scanned it a few times. And so someone came and took him to, looked like they were taking him away to an office or something, but they just took him to another scanner, he said, and it kind of worked. And they just did like a manual check. Look at him, look at his passport, and they let him through. So that was a relief. If you're wondering about my tiny book bag, this is what I wore on the day we traveled to Paris. And then this is what I wore on my way back. So, I kept it super simple. I did have to borrow a little bit of space in my husband's bag, but that's okay. He allowed me. So we're coming to an end here until the next one, which is where we're going to fill in the tower into this puzzle and tell you about all the things I regret not doing at the Eiffel Tower. Some interesting, some obvious, some you'll see. So, it's sad saying bye to the Eiffel Tower, but we had to do it. Until next time, though, I will be back to Paris.